Good morning, ladies. It's Mr. O'Sullivan. Today we're going to be doing lesson 1-7, translating and solving an equation. The learning target for today is I can translate a sentence into an equation and solve for my variable. And that's all we're doing today. So these are how the questions are typically going to work. You're going to be given a mathematical statement in words, and you need to be able to translate and decipher it and decode it into an equation and then solve for your variable. So here's how I approach it. I approach it very similarly to how I did, very similar to how I did yesterday in the video lesson, where I do a lot of annotating, I put a lot of numbers on my visual question and all that stuff. So question number 1, 8 times a number equals 35 more than the number. Find the number. So I read it again just one more time. 8 times a number equals 35 more than the number. Find the number. So all we have to really do is just sort of like do a deeper dive into this question. So I know I have 8 times a number. I don't know what my number is, so I'm going to do times x equals 35 more than we know is addition, and I don't know what my number is, so it's still x. That's my equation. 8 times x equals 35 plus x. So I really am just doing 8x equals 35 plus x. And now I have to solve my equation for x. So to get rid of my x over here, I have to subtract it. So I subtract x from both sides. 8x minus x is 7x, so I get 7x equals 35. And then to get rid of my 7, I divide by 7 on both sides. Divide by 7, divide by 7, and I get x equals 5. That's your number, and that's your final answer. Okay, now let's go on to question number 2. If 4 times a number is decreased by 9, the result is the same as when 3 times a number is decreased by 1. Find the number. So again, I just read it to myself one more time. Go ahead and read it to yourself one more time. So you should have done your close read of it one more time, and now we're going to annotate the question. So 4 times the number. So I don't know what my number is. Whenever I don't know what my number is, I always just put an x. So 4 times x. And that's decreased by 9. So I'm now going to do a take away 9, so minus 9. The result is the same as, would be my equal, when 3 times the number is decreased by 1. So now I have 3 times the number, so 3 times x, decreased by 1 minus 1. I now have my equation. 4 times x minus 9 equals 3 times x minus 1. So 4x minus 9 equals 3x minus 1. You should go ahead and solve that equation. So when you solve your equation, you subtract 3x from both sides of your equation. I then get x minus 9 equals negative 1. To cancel out my negative 9, or my subtract by 9, I have to add 9 to both sides, and I get x equal to 8. Okay. Number 3, find 4 consecutive integers such that the sum of the second and the fourth is 132. So whenever we have this word consecutive integers, and they're just consecutive integers, it's not even or odd. They could be even and odd when we get to question 4 and 5. Whenever you have consecutive integers, I mean numbers that are next to each other. So like numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I do is, I don't know what my first integer is, so I'm just going to put an x. That's my first one. I'm now going to do my next one, which would just be x plus 1. That would be my second integer. I'm now going to do my third one, which would just be x plus 2. That would be my third. And then my fourth one would be x plus 3, sorry. That's what we mean by consecutive integers. So like, to go from 1 to 2, I add 1. To go from 1 to 3, I add 2. To go from 1 to 4, I add 3. So my 4 consecutive integers are x, x plus 1, x plus 2, and x plus 3. So I want to find all 4 of what those integers are. But I know that the sum, which is addition, of the second and the fourth is 132. So it's going to be equal to 132. So I know my second integer was x plus 1 and my fourth was x plus 3. So what I need to do is x plus 1 plus x plus 3 equals 132. So I combine my like terms. X plus x is 2x. 1 plus 3 is 4. And that's equal to 132. Go ahead and solve that two-step equation. After solving that two-step equation, I subtracted 4 from both sides. I got 2x equals 128. My 4 is canceled. And then I get divide by 2, and I get x to be equal to 64. But the issue is I didn't want to find just one number. I want to find all 4 numbers. So now we have to go back in and plug back in. So I'm going to use my black marker now, so I know x is 64. So I just go back and plug in. So my is 64. My next number is just 64 plus 1, which is 65. My next number is 64 plus 2, so 66. And my last number is 64 plus 3, which is 67. Those are your 4 integers. Let's go on to our next example. Number 4 says, find 3 consecutive even integers such that the sum of the smallest and twice the second is 20 more than the third. That sounds intimidating. So whenever they say consecutive even or consecutive odd, it's always going to be this. Please just memorize it. Whenever you see consecutive, even or odd, it's going to be x, x plus 2, and x plus 4, because we basically want to skip a number in between. So we want to skip our x plus 1 and go right to x plus 2. We want to skip our x plus 3 and go right to x plus 4. All right? So now let's break it apart a little further. The sum of the smallest, which in this case would just be x, and we know sum is addition, and twice the second. So the second is x plus 2, but I'm doubling it, so I have to put that in parentheses. So 2 times x plus 2 is, so equal, 20 more than the third. So more than is addition. So 20 plus the third, which was x plus 4. So now I want to solve this equation. So it looks like a challenging one, I promise you. It's really not as bad as it looks. I have a number on the outside of my parentheses, so I should distribute. So I have x plus 2x plus 4 equals 20 plus x plus 4. So I'm doing the PCVNA, so I got rid of my parentheses. I now need to ask myself if I can combine any like terms. So I cover up the right-hand side of my equation. Can I combine any like terms with my x on the left-hand side of my equal? Yes. X plus 2x is 3x. I have 3x plus 4 equals 20 plus x plus 4. But I need to ask myself if I can combine anything on the right. Can I combine anything? Yes. I can do 20 plus 4, which is 24. And then I have 24 plus x. So that's the equation I want to solve. So I combined my like terms. Now I need to move all of my variables to the left-hand side. So I have to ask myself, are all my x's on the left-hand side? No, they're not. So I have to get rid of this plus x by taking away an x. So take away x, take away x. So 3x minus x is 2x plus 4 equals 24. Now I need to get all my numbers on the right-hand side. So I have to ask myself, how do I get rid of a plus 4? I subtract 4, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, subtract 4, and I get 2x equals 20. And then my final step always is just divide by the number attached to my x. I divide by 2, and I get x equals 10. But here's the issue. It wants you to find all 3 integers, so it doesn't want you to just find x, it wants you to find x plus 2 and x plus 4. So what I do is I go back, I put my 10. I now say, what's 10 plus 2? It's 12. And then I say, what's 10 plus 4? It's 14. That's your final answer. Those are my 3 consecutive even integers. And that's your final answer. So for number 5, I have find 2 consecutive odd integers such that 4 times the larger is 29 more than 3 times the smaller. Again, what I said before, whenever you have consecutive even or consecutive odd, you just need to do x plus 2, x plus 4, x plus 6, and so forth. So I just want 2 consecutive odd integers. So I don't want 3 numbers, I want 2 numbers. So I'm going to have my x and my x plus 2. My x plus 2. Such that 4 times the larger, so I have to ask myself, what's bigger, x or x plus 2? Well, it's x plus 2. So 4 times the larger, so 4 times x plus 2 is in math is equal 29 more than 3 times the smaller. Well, 29 more than is addition. 3 times the smaller, which in this case is x. So my equation is 4 times x plus 2 equals 29 plus 3x. I'm going to ask that you go ahead and solve that equation by yourself. So when solving that equation, your first step was to distribute. So I distributed my 4 to my x plus 2, and I got 4x plus 8. And then I did 29 plus 3x. I can't combine those, so if I followed my PCVNA procedure, I'll write it on the side. So PCVNA. I got rid of my parentheses by distributing. There's nothing to combine. I moved my variables to the left-hand side by subtracting 3x. And then I moved my numbers by subtracting 8. And then I got my final answer by dividing. So I got x equals 21. But I want to find those 2 integers, so I have to plug in my 21. So I go in. We just said x was 21. And now we do 21 plus 2, which is 23. That's your final answer, 21 and 23. If you have any questions, please email myself, Ms. Jimenez, or Ms. Townsend. Don't forget to complete your missing assignments and your mathography, which is due tomorrow. Have a great day, ladies.